Hi, hope you're having a great day. You're watching JG Entertainment, and for this video, I'm going to be going over the first reactions and reviews of Eternals to tell you what to expect of this movie, to tell you what the critics are saying about this movie, the good and the bad. I'm going to go over both of them. I'm going to try to keep this as fair as possible and cover as many viewpoints as possible to give you a possibility of what you might expect from this movie, and just let you choose whether you want to see this movie or not, or just what to expect from this movie, or whatever you're looking into this movie. Like if you want to know what to expect, whether I should see it or not, is it worth seeing it? Is it good? How connected to the MCU is it? All that type of stuff. Then definitely make sure to watch this video. I definitely think you enjoy it. Make sure to keep it spoiler free. I've double checked all these first reactions reviews that I got for this video, so it's completely spoiler free. Not like Deadline over here spoiling the post credit scene, but definitely spoiler free and everything. So definitely just make sure to watch the video if you're very curious to hear what people are thinking about Eternals. I think personally, I'm really curious to hear what people are thinking. It's a very interesting movie to hear different people's thoughts. So if I was you, I would watch the whole video. Everybody has very different thoughts on it, so just watch the whole video and get the full breakdown of the first reactions and reviews. But before that, please make sure to leave a like. It would be very helpful and very appreciated. It helps out the videos a lot. So if you end up enjoying this video or find it informative, then please leave a like. Also, comment down below where your hype level is for Eternals. I'm definitely curious. Like, are you really hyped for it? Is it not as interesting to you? Does it not look appealing to you? Does it look amazing? I'm definitely curious to hear all your thoughts. So definitely make sure to tell me that down below. And subscribe to get more content like this. I cover a lot of Marvel specifically. So if you want more Marvel content, then subscribe. I would definitely recommend you subscribing. I think you'll really enjoy my content. So definitely make sure to subscribe. Okay, now let's get started breaking down this trailer. Now let's get started breaking down these first reactions or reviews for Eternals. Okay, so in case you haven't never seen one of these videos from me, usually what I do is I move to the side, like right now I am, and then I put the tweets right here so you can read it, because that's usually where critics give their first impressions reviews, but I also read them for you. I'm just having it here in case you want to read along, and then I'll break it down as I go on. I also usually look this way since I'm reading, but yeah, that's how it's going to work. So let's get started with the first one, and this one comes from Daniel Howat, and this way says, Eternals is one of the most ambitious MCU movies yet, but it's also fairly messy. Impressive visuals and a talented cast don't say the convoluted plot. A story so huge, spanning centuries, that it felt like 2/3 of a movie was exposition. It never truly came together for me. He also said, Zhao is much more interested in the humanity and human connection, which is why she's such a talented filmmaker. But those tendencies feel incompatible with this genre. Too little action and the stakes never feel tangible. This isn't a total loss, but one of the weaker Marvel MCU films. So that's what this guy had to say. Daniel Howat, that's what he had to say. And this is a very interesting first reaction review, because as you're going to see throughout this whole video, the reactions are very mixed. It's usually either people love it, people don't like it, or it's like straight up in the middle. And this one seems to be a little bit more towards the negative side, but not like fully on negative. As they did praise that the cast was great, they praised the visuals, which is great. However, they said that there was a lot of story to be told, and you're going to see there's going to be a pattern. There's going to be a lot of story told towards this movie. I actually saw an interview with, I can't remember if it was the writer or the director, and he said that it was a pretty even 40% of the story was in the past, and 60% of the story is in the present day. So clearly it has a lot of story, because he said that the other 40% of the story is like centuries and centuries behind. So you can imagine all the centuries that they had to like get through story. It's really, really long. And as you can see, the movie is actually like the second longest MCU movie. So I'm just saying, there's definitely a lot of story to be told here. But yeah, that's basically what they said. They didn't think that the movie overall ended up coming together, and they didn't think that Chloe Zhao's, which is the director of this movie, style matched the genre of superheroes. So very interesting, and he just thinks it's one of the weaker MCU films. So that's the first reaction review. Let's move on to another one. And I forgot to mention, Daniel Howat also said another thing. I'm sorry. He also said, I wanted to like Eternals much more than I did. There's a lot to like, but the massive story felt at odds with the intimate character development, leaving me without anything to truly invest in. There's some good stuff, but not enough. So that's what he said. Makes sense from everything that he said before. It seems like his biggest problem was the story. The character development, I think, said that it didn't work because of the story. So that's the main problem for him. And I think part of it is just because the story spans through so much, and then I think the story just didn't work for him. I think he needed something more contained, which I think it makes sense. Also, they just said there is good stuff. There is good stuff to enjoy. Clearly he's a little bit more towards the negative side, but he still agrees. There's good stuff to enjoy. It's just not enough for him to the point where he will consider the movie good. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And this one, and he also said this. I'm so sorry. And he also said, also, it feels so disconnected from the Marvel Universe that I kind of make like it kind of makes no sense. He kind of misspelled that wrong. There's almost as many references to Batman and Superman as there is to the MCU, which is crazy for me. That's really, really crazy. And spoilerish, I guess. They do reference Batman and Superman in the movie, which I thought is pretty cool, actually. I was like, what? I guess they exist in comics for them. I don't know how that works, but that's pretty cool. Never thought that would happen in a movie, but it happened, so that's great. And that kind of also sucks because they said that there's not as much references to the MCU. I actually saw another reaction where they said that the only references towards the MCU are actually the ones shown in the trailer. So that kind of sucks, but we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I'm definitely very curious. Okay, now actually moving on to another critic's first reaction. This is what Paranormal Activity said. This is what it said. Eternals is dense, and I felt the weight of the exposition often. Movies at its best when it focuses on the Eternals recreating the family. The humor of it and the passion when they fight for each other and things they love. Also, Angelina Jolie in the MCU is everything. So this is a lot more positive first impression review, but it still has a critique. So first of all, I said the story is dense, which means that it has a lot of story, like I said. And she said that they felt the weight of the exposition often. The other guy said that around 2/3 of the movie are exposition. So clearly, there's a lot of exposition to go over in this movie. It could be good, it could be bad. I think it's more of a bad thing, but still, there's a lot of exposition to go over in this movie. We'll see how interesting the exposition is. I think that's the main key towards this. They also said that it's at its best whenever the Eternals are trying to reform each other, which I think you can see from the trailers whenever they're like looking to combine their team back as everybody's divided. So I'm definitely very curious to see how that works. And they said the humor and the passion was great, so yay. And for all of you Angelina Jolie stans, which I know there's a lot of, and there's a lot of people that just want to watch it because of Angelina Jolie, she says that Angelina Jolie is everything in this MCU movie, so that's great. Very happy for you guys, and very happy to hear this a positive first reaction for her. Okay, let's move on to another critic, and this is what Herb Scribner said. Eternals review. So this one's going to be really long, but it said, Eternals review. Well, Eternals is huge in cast, story, and skill. It's beautifully told with excellent music, acting, and pacing. It's one of the more cinema Marvel movies to date, and it serves a place in the upper tier of the MCU films. He also said, that said, it does not feel like a Marvel movie at all. It definitely feels like something different, almost like its own movie. You could have called this Eternals without Marvel logo, and no one would be the wizard or Ricer. I don't know what exactly that means. A lot of the MCU elements are not included in this movie. As its own story, it's really good. I would love to see Eternals world built out more. Knowing it's in the MCU, it would be cool to see how it fits in the MCU. Each character has their own story and motivation. Some are better than others. Some are more built out than others. It's a little uneven in how much attention it brings to every character. Okay, and then let's move on. Hill said, Gemma Chan, slash Cersei, and Richard Madden, who plays Icarus, own this movie. Brian Tyree Henry, which is Phastos, steals the show. Kumail Nanjiani, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, as Kingo had fun moments. Lauren Ridloff as Makari adds almost element as well. Brilliant cast. Hashtag Eternals. He kept going by saying, I did not take to Barry Cowan, which plays Drug, or Liam McCog, which plays Sprite. Both of their stories fell short for me. Would like to see more in the sequel. Eternals 2 can and should happen. Lots of world building to explore, lots of questions raised that need to be answered. You can bet there's plenty to explore. He also said, I don't know if Eternals beats Shang-Chi though. It's probably a tier below that whenever you rank it. There are moments where you want more action, more battles rather than a story. If you love dialogue, you will love this movie. My press screening did not include the post-credit scene. Disappointing, so I'll have to see it again shortly. Overall, pretty good, just didn't hit the Marvel notes for me. Good science fiction movie overall. But as for an MCU film, I'll require a second watch to see where it ranks. So this is a very, very interesting reaction. It's actually quite extensive. It kind of feels like a whole review. So this one gives us the most in-depth look, which is why I chose it. And very, very interesting. So for starters, they once again say that the cast is amazing and they do a really good job on it. However, they did say that it was overall unbalanced how much attention each member got in the movie. Like he said that some stories just felt too short of a story for them to really feel invested in, which really does kind of suck because I'm just really curious to see how they balance. And if it's a little uneven, I don't really want any unevenness, but it's okay because most of them they still said that really stood out. He only said that 2 of them didn't really make it for him, so that's something. He also said that he didn't see the post-credit scene, which he can't comment on. But he did say that this sets up Eternals 2 very, very well, and there's still a lot of world building that this movie did that just lands us up for a sequel, and he thinks it should happen. So keep that in mind. This is the world building is not probably just for one movie; it probably is for another movie. As he said very explicitly that he really felt like this really built up to a sequel. He also said that it's really good as its own story. He just doesn't know how it feels as an MCU movie. He just thinks it's a really good science fiction movie. In my opinion, I think it might be a little bit like Dune. You know what I mean? Dune feels like a very close science fiction movie with great visuals and all this huge cast. And that's how I feel like about this movie. I think it has a huge cast with great visuals and everything, and it's just a science fiction movie. That's how this one seems to be like. He just says that sometimes he just feels like he wants more action that the movie doesn't give to him. So he says that if you're someone that gravitates more towards dialogue than action, then you'll probably enjoy this movie a lot more. But if you're somebody that gravitates more towards action than dialogue, then that's probably going to be a bummer for you. So yeah, that's what this first reaction review from Herb Scribner said. So yeah, pretty interesting, in-depth look or review at Eternals. Moving on to Matt Ramos, or who you might also know as Soups, he said, Eternals is the most beautiful and ambitious film Marvel has ever made. The cinematography and visuals were stunning. The cast was brilliant. I really want to see more of these heroes. It felt at any moment any character could die. The ending was insane and had me screaming. So this is a lot of more positive note review, which is great. Soups always brings a lot of positivity to the movies, so that's great. He does say that it's the most beautiful, which a lot of people have been saying that because of the shots that Chloe Zhao actually ends up doing. This is the most ambitious one, which, as you can tell with the story, how everybody keeps saying that it has a grand scope. This definitely seems like it fits the category of the most ambitious Marvel movie. It says the cinematography and the visuals were stunning. Once again, like I said, looks like the shots were really, really, really great. And they once again mentioned the cast was brilliant, which is great, especially for a team movie where there's a lot of cast members. Each cast member has to be good to really be able to stand out. So that's great. Once again, said they really want to see more of these heroes, really portraying that they do set up a sequel. So that's great. And one thing that I really did enjoy from this is that at any moment you felt like any of these characters could die. So you really had a sense of danger for these characters, which I enjoyed. This was something that I really enjoyed from the Suicide Squad movie that came out earlier this year, where you really didn't know which character was going to die. And that's exactly how I feel about this movie. You really don't know which character is going to make it out. So very, very interesting. And he really enjoyed the ending, and it had him screaming. So that's great. I don't know if it means the ending of the movie or the post-credit scene, but still, that's great. Moving on from Soups to Scott Menzel, this is what he said. Eternals is Marvel's version of Zack Snyder's Justice League, a film that builds upon a cast of unknown characters and does so with great success. Chloe Zhao's direction is superb, easily one of the best looking Marvel films of all time. Insane post-credit scenes too. He also said, however, I would argue that the story is a mixed bag, as are the performances. The film follows the whole getting the band back together story structure and feels very bloated and convoluted in its approach. So this is a very interesting first reaction review. So let's start breaking down what he said. Let's start breaking it down with the first thing. And the first thing that he said was that the Eternals just very much like Zack Snyder's Justice League for the MCU, which is something that for me is great. Like I 100% enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was one of the best movies I've ever seen. I really, really love that movie. So for him to say that, that's really, really good. And you can definitely tell a lot by the trailers. It definitely has a tone a lot more serious than the usual Marvel movies, which I definitely think that's what Zack Snyder Justice League kind of had. As well as the visuals were a lot more like kind of like Zack Snyder type of visuals. So that's great. And I really enjoyed that he says that it's a Zack Snyder Justice League on the team members and everything. So that's great. Really, really getting me hyped with that comment. He also said that the cast builds upon and unknown characters. So they said that they really do end up letting you know these characters, even though you've never known them before, even if you read the comics or not. It really just builds upon them, and it really, really lets you know them, which is great. He did say that not all characters were like as even, and the cast wasn't as even. Some people were better than others, which is something that we heard from another first critic in review that I mentioned earlier. So that's something. He did say that he really enjoyed Chloe Zhao's directing, which is great. And once again, they mentioned the great visuals of this movie. So that's great. He did see the post-credit scenes, and he did say that they were insane. No spoilers in the comments. I don't want to see any spoilers in the comments. I know that one of the post-credit scenes got leaked. Well, he did say that was insane. And the post-credit scene that got leaked wasn't pretty insane. He does, however, once again, has a negative comment about the story. So we're starting to see a pattern here that the story is the main problem. Since the story feels very bloated and convoluted, especially on its approach to reuniting the whole band together, which is interesting because Perry did say that she really enjoyed seeing how they really got this band together, and Scott Menso says that he felt that it was very convoluted. So that's very interesting takes. As you can see, definitely very mixed reviews and reactions for this movie. Okay, moving on to another first reaction review from a critic. This one comes from Courtney Howard, and this is what she says. Eternals is amazing. Chloe Zhao and company turn into an evocative, emotional, extraordinary, epic superhero film. The ensemble have great chemistry and all get big movie elements to showcase their prowess. My bad. The naturalism of Ben Davis' cinematography spotlights characters' humanity. So there's another very positive first impression review, calling this movie amazing. So clearly that's already a great thing for me. They really enjoyed Chloe Zhao's directing, as they really mentioned that. So that's great. I said the movie's emotional, and I say it is a superhero epic, and they said they really showed the power of these Eternals, which they're Eternals. They should have powers, so I'm really great about that. And yeah, they said the cinematography. Once again, they mentioned the cinematography. Said it's really great, and once again, they mentioned that it spotlights the humanity of these characters, which is something that, as one of the first actual reviews said, could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. You might really like the humanity of these characters, but then, like another review said, they felt like it took away the superhero-ness from these characters and really toned it down to humanity. Meanwhile, there's people like Courtney Howard who mentioned that the humanity is something that really worked for them and something that they really just enjoyed from these characters rather than the heroism. So very interesting to see that. I'm very curious to see how different Marvel fans respond to this. Okay, moving on to the next reaction review. This one comes from Eric Davis, and this is what he said. Marvel's Eternals is spectacularly. I really strong Hispanic accent. I'm sorry, but I know I mispronounced that word a lot bad. But it's spectacularly weird and rich with a new MCU mythology that makes it feel separate from everything else. It's honestly refreshing. There's a bittersweetness to the film that you feel in its sunset shots. A definite Chloe Zhao touch. It is soulful and thoughtful. He also said, "There's a lot of story to devour in Eternals. It spans thousands of years. But Zhao does a good job balancing it all. Liam McHugh, Brian Tyree, Henry, and Kumail Nanjiani, I have a really hard time saying the name, were my favorites. But everyone is good, and they all have fascinating powers. Some truly great character moments, too." So that was another very positive first reaction review. Like I said, this one comes from Eric Davis. He really enjoys the cinematography. He says it's something brand new to the MCU, very, very different to the MCU, that it's refreshing to him. He says it's very rich and everything. It really just feels different, and like he said, it's refreshing. And I think that's going to be a lot of people's feelings. Some people are getting really tired of the usual Marvel formula, and this one seems to be breaking free a lot from that and just really experimenting out there. And I think it's going to be very refreshing for some people. Some people might not like that. So definitely, like I said, very curious to hear how people feel about this. They said that the sunset shots were really great, so that's great, and that Chloe Zhao definitely puts a great touch into it, which for you that might be good, that might be bad. She's an Academy Award winning nominee, winning an Oscar for the best directing last year, so definitely very positive on that. And overall, he doesn't criticize the story. In fact, he says he really likes how Chloe Zhao handles the story, especially for how much span of time it takes place, which is thousands of years. Like I told you, so much time and so much story that they had to go over. And he says that he felt like it got balanced really, really well. He did give his favorite list, but however, he still said that everybody was good in their role and that everybody still was great as their Eternals, but these are his favorites. So that was great. They said the powers really, really feel great, which is something that I really want to see. The powers of the Eternals, because like I mentioned earlier, they're the Eternals. I really want to see the powers, so that's great. And they said that there's some great character moments, which I think that this movie will have a lot of emotion, which is great. I really want to see the emotion of this movie. Moving on to Grace Grandin, this is what she said. Eternals is the most un-MCU film to date. So much that it feels like a different franchise. Very interested to see how Marvel fans react to that. My favorites were Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, this name again, it's really hard, and Lauren Ridloff. Review embargo lifts Sunday. So what does that mean? Well, let's start with the ending. That means that if you want to see the specific reviews over this movie, where they go a lot more in depth into what they feel about this movie, you can check it out on Sunday. That's when the review embargo lifts. So each one can post their reviews on Sunday, like I said, where they go a lot more in depth. Okay, so now let's actually break down the thoughts. So it's the most an MCU film, and she says that it doesn't feel like an MCU film. It feels like a different franchise, which is very, very interesting. Some people already compared it to Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is a lot more DC type of movie. I've seen other critics saying that it's like Dune. So definitely very interesting to see, like Chris Randolph is as well, how Marvel fans react to this. I know I have a lot of friends that don't like how the trailers are looking right now. They really feel like it just doesn't feel like Marvel. It doesn't get their attention. And I have a lot of other friends that are like super excited about this way. They're like, oh my god, this looks amazing. So like I said, I definitely think this is going to split a lot of fans over this movie. And I think it's going to be a very divisive MCU film. And they did mention that Angelina Jolie was great in the role. So once again, Angelina Jolie stands rejoice with happiness because they said she was a standout. So yeah, very positive professional review. So on to the last one that I have for this video, and this one comes from Dan Casey, and this is what he says: Eternals is one of Marvel's most ambitious films, epic in scope, lavishly shot, and totally unapologetic about how much lore it dumps on you. Terrific cast, great direction, and delightfully comic booky. Definitely not for everyone, but these are Jack Kirby's space gods done right. So very interested to see this first reaction review from Dan Casey. It's a great reaction, to be honest. It's a really, really good one. It says it's very ambitious, as a bunch of other critics have been saying. Once again, because of the story. Epic in scope. And John Cronpia actually said this has the biggest scope ever, that it kind of makes everything in the MCU that has happened, including Infinity War and Endgame, feel almost insignificant compared to like everything else. So that's very interesting. And it says that it's really, really well shot. They really enjoyed the way it was shot. Once again, coming from the director of Chloe Zhao. So a lot of people are really enjoying that. I think some people might not like that because, like I said, it's very similar to kind of Zack Snyder's directing, which I know a lot of people have problems with. But overall, I think it's really great. And it says that it dumps a lot of lore on you, a lot of background thing, a lot of world building, and it doesn't hold back from it. No, it just kind of just dumps it on you. So take that as you will. Well, if you're good at that, then great. If you don't like that, then that's definitely going to be a problem. Like I said, the main thing that is going to be key to this is how are they going to do it? Are they just going to sit down and talk about it, or are they going to do it in a very interesting way? That's what I'm curious to see. And once again, they mentioned terrific cast and just great direction. So great directing with Chloe Zhao again, and terrific cast. And I said it's very comic booky, and it definitely takes inspiration from Jack Kirby, which I know a lot of you fans that want to see Eternals really just love the comic books from Jack Kirby. So that's great. However, once again, he does mention that it's not for everyone. So I'm telling you, it's going to be a very divisive film. And I think from this reviews, you can kind of tell where you're going to land. I think if you don't want to see people talking, being kind of a slow burn, because this movie is a slow burn, I've seen a lot of the critics say that, then you might not enjoy this movie. However, you like slow burns that really feel nice, and you really just kind of enjoy humanity and just enjoy character moments a lot more, and then just action scenes and everything, and really fast-paced movies, then I think you really, really will enjoy this movie. So definitely very curious. However, if you're somebody that's really after the space gods, like the Celestials, then they're going to be done right. So yay, that's kind of what I'm really hyped to see, the space gods. So very excited to see. Lastly, I'm going to go over some things that aren't in this reviews, but I've heard from different people, just so you can get a lot of more context towards the movie. It's going to be really quick and short, but this is what I'm going to tell you. So it looks like Gemma Chan, who's going to be Cersei, which is this character, will be the lead by a substantial amount. It won't be like, oh my goodness, she's like 100% the lead in this movie and everything. But overall, she has the most screen time, and she basically places the lead. So keep that in mind, she's going to be the lead. Don't think that it's going to be like a movie where... at least for me, Icarus was going to be the lead. No, it will be Gemma Chan as Cersei. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, like I said, it's going to be a slow burn of a movie. It's not going to be a fast movie, a fast-paced movie. It's probably one of the slowest MCU-paced movies to date, which is very interesting, because it's very different from Shang-Chi, which just came out, 2 months ago? So that's definitely interesting. Like they also said, there's not a lot of action in this movie. So that's something to keep in mind. Not a lot of action. So there's that. I've seen a lot of people say that it's okay. That I just didn't include this because if not, the video will be way, way, way too long. But I've seen a lot of people say that the movie was okay. And I've seen a lot of people say that it was great, that they just really enjoyed the storytelling, they really enjoyed the world building and everything. So it really just kind of comes down to your taste, whether you like grittier, more serious stories, which is something that this movie is going to do. It says it's going to be a lot more serious story, nowhere near as much jokes, nowhere near as much of any other Marvel formula type of thing. It's a lot more of a serious, grounded story. Whether you like it or not, it's interesting. So you're going to see that. So basically, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And yeah, hopefully now you know what kind of to expect from this movie. The post-credit scenes are really huge, at least from the one that I know. It is really huge, so you don't want to miss those end credit scenes. But yeah, that's basically what I can tell from this movie. Hopefully, I'd let you know a lot more what to expect, and hopefully, you got an idea of what to expect from this movie, and whether you're gonna go see it or not, and whether you're gonna enjoy it or not. I'm really hoping for that. And if I did, then please leave a like, because I accomplished my goal, and I think you found this video informative and enjoyable, especially if you got to this point, which I really thank you for getting to this point. But yeah, please leave a like. It would be very, very helpful. As well as comment down below on what's your high level for Eternals. Did this increase your high level for Eternals, or this decrease your high level for Eternals? I think this, for me at least, landed exactly where I thought Eternals was going to land, according to the trailers. I had somebody say that the trailers don't do it justice, just because they said that there's a lot more space things going on that the trailers just don't show. So keep that in mind. I also heard that the Deviants are really, really, really good, which are the villains. So keep that in mind as well. Very interesting to keep that in mind. But definitely make sure to comment down in the comments what your high levels for Eternals. Definitely very curious to hear different people's thoughts. And lastly, subscribe for more content. I'll definitely be reviewing this movie as spoiler review, and I'll definitely be talking about the post-credit scene and everything. So definitely make sure to subscribe for all that content on this movie. As well as a lot more content on just anything entertainment-wise on movies or TV shows. I think you'll definitely enjoy my channel. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And this is JVG Entertainment, out.